And that's when the peppermint fell in the eggnog, and you would not believe the stinging sensation.
I know!
Wow.
Speaking of stinging sensations, welcome to the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. And welcome to Thursday night's quarantine panel. We are so excited that you guys chose to spend a few minutes with us. And tonight we are talking about it's the most wonderful time of the year. In fact, tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, indeed.
Good.
I am.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But so perfect time to talk about funny holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah, all the holidays, funny Christmas music, and it's a really gigantic topic. So we assembled, me and Gary, some of the best nerds on the planet and surrounding galaxies to talk about funny Christmas music. And up first, tell us who you are and what you do, I suppose, and one internet away from me, Chris.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Cummins, and I'm happy to be here tonight. Should I just start with the song right off the bat?
We'll do that after we introduce everybody.
That's all I have to say. Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. 2 internets away from me, Madison.
Hey, I am Madison Metricula Roberts. You can find me at Metricula.com, at Metricula, basically literally everywhere. You can look up Metricula on Spotify. I'm a musician, and I do solo work and solo comedy nerd work. And I'm also part of a band called The Salacious Crumbles, which is our fangirl band, with Lee Tyberg, who sends her love. So...
And 1, 2, 3 internets away from me is my unindicted co-conspirator in the American Sci-Fi Classics Track, Mr. Gary Mitchel.
Greetings, programs.
And let's see, 1, 2, 3. Why do I have to count every time? It's because
that's the way you do.
Yes. What do they?
I have to do left, right every time. So.
Yeah. I'm always like, left. Right? I don't know. But 1, 2, 3, 4 internets. I think. Okay, there's Kevin Eldridge. How are you?
Hi. I'm great. Great to be here. I'm Kevin. I'm a podcaster. My show is called The Flopcast. It's just a silly, goofy, nerdy, geeky weekly show, and we obsess over holiday stuff, silly holiday stuff around the Flopcast. Lots of holiday programming going on all month long, and I have a bit of a history with funny holiday music as well. So I'm really happy to be here with all you nerds.
Freaking nerds. And 1 internet south of me, nerds. Gina Phillips, welcome.
Hello. Hey, I'm Gina Phillips. When I'm not busy chilling here in the nursing home, which is a whole other thing, I mostly yell at ding-dongs on Twitter.
Yes.
And people have to pay for that usually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Listen, there was a guy, there was a Craigslist ad a couple of years ago where somebody was willing to pay money to have people literally scream at his asshole.
Well, there we
Close
go.
proximity.
Hey, it's good work if you can get it.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I've been doing that for free like a sucker.
Like a punk. Like a punk.
And there's our mature rating for the night.
Did you say like a punk or like a punk?
Like a punk.
Oh, like a punk.
Punk.
That's a genre waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I wish I don't know Lee or I'll stop. Lee is actually Jewish.
Oh.
my bandmate. So I am not, but I'm repping in some of her.
You have to.
Her diaspora opinion as well. So.
So what, I'll ask everybody. Christmas, of course, hopefully everybody gets a chance as a child and as a grown child to enjoy Christmas time. But when I was a Ute, the coolest thing I discovered, and I think it was local radio stations, like the Wacky Morning DJs started it. And then I discovered the Dr. Demento show. Because, of course, you have your general Christmas music that they play everywhere on the Muzak and all the stores. And then I discovered funny people are making fun of those things and doing funny Christmas things on their own. When I was of a youthful time, it was the I forget what year, but it was my youth saw the debut of Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. And that, I think, opened the floodgates. As the Dr. Demento show was a seminal part of all December long was hearing and collecting on my cassette recorder all the funny Christmas songs that he would play. And that one of my favorite things is the Dr. Demento Greatest Novelty Records of All Time albums. Mm-hmm. And there's a bunch of good stuff on here. And it turns out there are more than 10 or 12 funny Christmas songs I've discovered. Apparently there are zillions.
There are.
So we're going to try to get to at least half a bazillion of those tonight. And so we'll start with Chris. What's your...
well, first off, I love Christmas music and in general and goofy Christmas music. Much like Joe, I had a similar experience with Dr. Demento and taping stuff and just obsessing about it. But now as I get older, I'm researching things that I missed out on the first time. Yeah. And one of these is a song called E.T.'s Helping Santa by Marty Merchant. Anyone who knows me, I am a huge fan of not E.T. the movie, but E.T. the cultural phenomena. And there was this real push to make E.T. into like the new Santa Claus in 1982 and 1983. What? So you could go to a mall, you could go to certain malls and choose whether you want your picture taken with Santa Claus or E.T. in a Santa hat. I don't think any of this was legal, but it happened. And I just found out 2 years ago, researching like the relationship for E.T. and Santa for a book I'm working on, that the song E.T.'s Helping Santa existed. Now the song, the premise of the song is that Rudolph isn't feeling well, and E.T. and Santa needs someone to light his sleigh, and of course E.T. has that translucent lit chest, so he saves Christmas for Santa. And it's really catchy. It's Marty Merchant is this very, very religious country singer. She's still around. She's still with us. And when I heard this song, it's every now and then you hear a song that is so bizarre and so hilarious you think it exists for you, and that is what E.T.'s Helping Santa is.
That's so great. But what I forgot to mention this. What we're gonna do after the panel is over, we're gonna collect all of the songs we talk about tonight and more, and put them on a YouTube playlist and or a Spotify I spotted a fly on Mike Pence's head, but never mind that. Was Spotify with we're gonna it's been like a zillion hours of Christmas stuff. We're gonna be your one-stop shop. And now on to Metricula. Ma'am, tell us Christmas music.
Okay, so I in my roundup of holiday music. So I think like a lot of us talking about Dr. Demento, like coming to funny music through Dr. Demento. Tom Lehrer has a Hanukkah song. I'm spending Hanukkah in Santa Monica.
Wonderful.
Which is just a delight because he goes through and like rhymes a bunch of states and cities with Jewish holidays, and it's just a delight. I mean, talking about like the starting off broad, like with the legacy of comedy music, generally, right? Like regardless of the holidays, like and novelty music. Yeah. Christmas and holiday music is so ripe for that because it's already kind of novelty music in the mainstream like radio play sense.
Yeah.
So like I think talking about Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, I mean, those are some of the biggest opportunities for mainstream crossover between like comedy, Dr. Demento, dementia music, and mainstream holiday lore. And I just think that is so cool. And I think Tom Lehrer is such a like microcosm of something that's so beloved by huge swaths of people, not just nerds and not just like comedy music nerds. But man, just rhyming like the California flora. I'm gonna light my menorah. Like, gosh, I mean, just like cradle and dreidel. I mean, like the rhymes just they flow. And if only I could rhyme so ill.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Lehrer broke in a time when novelty music could really still go mainstream. You know, he was a big star in the 60s, 50s, 60s.
Oh, huge.
And his Hanukkah song, and then he had a Christmas song also. It's called A Christmas Carol.
Wonderful song. The version
yeah.
that's on the Dr. Demento album, I'm not as fond of. That's the live version. I really like the studio version, which you can get on. They made box sets that contain his first studio albums, because for a long time you could only get the live albums versions.
Yeah, Christmas Carol, Tom Lehrer, like it contains little clips of parodies of several different Christmas songs, kind of on the general theme of the commercialization of Christmas. You know, which it seems silly, like in the '60s that was a thing. You know, obviously, like Charlie Brown Christmas was about the commercialization of Christmas, and that's what Tom Lehrer was satirizing as well. So yeah, he was bringing this stuff to the mainstream. You know,
God,
50
the more
years
things
ago.
change, the more things stay the same, right?
You know,
Yeah. I got to say, the commercialization of Christmas, I'm kind of okay with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't think there's a God, so I'm like, sure,
Yeah.
whatever.
So
Get your presents now, you heathen.
So next up, Gary.
Yeah, it's a similar experience. You know, you grew up hearing Dr. Demento. You hear the weird stuff. I remember when Grandma got run over by a reindeer was everywhere, and you could. I mean, I got to the point where I despised it because it was always on. You could not escape it. And I still kind of get flashbacks when I hear it start. I'm like, but it became an earworm for a reason. It was catchy. And I remember the animated special that got made out of it. You remember when that used to be a thing, when a song would become a hit and then they'd turn it into a movie or a TV show or something?
Oh, yeah.
Convoy.
Yeah. But I'm going to go old school. My first pick is the 12 Pains of Christmas, just because that one makes me giggle.
Oh, yeah.
So much with the running theme of the guy trying to get the Christmas lights to work. It's like, they're not blinking. Like, no, they're blinking. Why are they blinking?
I love the woman who was like totally sick of dealing with her in-laws. And finally she's just sobbing. She's a witch. I hate her.
She's a witch. I hate her. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's one. It's like every time the Christmas season starts to roll around, that's one of the first songs I'll hunt down and listen to. Just because, like I said, it just makes me giggle.
Oh yeah.
12 Days of Christmas is like
holiday
a perfect
cheer.
Yeah,
it's a perfect song to make funny songs out of, and that's why there have been so many comedy music versions of 12 Days of Christmas. You know, it's just that it lays out the perfect template to just be goofy.
Yeah, of course. The most famous one, I think, may be Bob and Doug Mckenzie.
Yeah.
Yes, I was about to mention that one. Yeah, that one's and a beer in a tree. Oh yeah, you need that.
And that song has outlasted, in the mainstream SCTV, which is where it came from. By a zillion years. Only the nerds still remember SCTV, as everyone should. But
and the Canadians, I guess.
Yes,
and the Canadians. Same thing.
Well, I think it's still airing in Canada. We'll have to ask Deanna.
Yeah. Same thing. All Canadians are great. I don't know a bad Canadian. But now over to Kevin.
All right, I'm just going to throw out right away my very favorite novelty Christmas song. And people think I'm kidding when I say this, but I'm totally serious. It's my favorite. It's the dogs singing Jingle Bells.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Oh
I'm
man,
sorry.
yeah.
I just love it.
Kevin coming in hot.
That's
You
good.
know?
Yeah,
Come
a
in,
That's
classic.
a bold choice.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you, and it's so stupid, and it's just such it's one stupid joke, and all right, whatever. But no, it's just, to me, it's never not funny. It just keeps getting funnier, and it's like we all got sick of it, and then you come back around, and okay, it's dogs singing Jingle Bells, and
It's funny.
Yeah, what kills me is when the dogs do the chorus, then it goes to a guitar solo for the dashing through the snow part, and then it comes back to the dogs come back in to sing the chorus, and that just gets me.
Commits to the bit.
Yeah,
Gotta commit.
I'm not even sure why, but I just love it.
You gotta commit to the bit.
Yeah,
I love
and
it.
they're besides the dogs singing Jingle Bells, I know that a friend of mine years and years ago, he had an entire album on cassette of cats singing Christmas songs.
Mhm.
He had a tape called Meowie Christmas. And there was one day when we just played that tape full blast, crazy loud all day, and yes, it was the middle of summer.
Yeah, any time of the year is a good time to revisit funny Christmas stuff.
Yep.
She'll be back. Gina, next up.
Well, I was kind of like sort of surfing my Spotify playlist, and this one it's one of my favorites. It's a 5-pound box of money by Pearl Bailey.
Oh wow!
Where it basically
Oops.
it takes the sort of avarice of Santa Baby and just strips it of any pretense whatsoever. And she's just like, look, I got to make the rent, Santa. Just give me that money. That's all I care about. That's what I need. And it's just I love it. I mean, she's great singing it, and it's just I love it just without reservation.
Pearl Bailey, a 5-pound box of money. That is a classic. And I wanted to. One thing I wanted to mention is that when. Oh, okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I couldn't narrow it down to like 30 things, so I'm just gonna throw the first, the next thing that I wanted to be sure to mention out is a little song that I discovered several years ago, and that song has a particular connection to one of our guests tonight, and that song is called "An Axel Christmas."
Oh,
Yes.
And it is by a group called the Sponge Awareness Foundation, one of whose members is here tonight. Kevin, what the heck?
wow, I am honored. Thank you so much. Wow. Yeah, we made a song many, many, many years ago. I had a comedy band, again, inspired by Dr. Demento and Weird Al and everything that we grew up listening to. We started a band just to do funny music a million years ago called the Sponge Awareness Foundation. And in the early 90s, we put out an album. And then later that year, we said, let's do a Christmas song. And somehow we fell upon the idea of the premise, what if Axl Rose replaced Santa Claus? And yeah, we made a song called An Axel Christmas. We shipped it off to Dr. Demento, and I hadn't even heard if he was going to play it or not. I was just listening to the show, and he started the show that week with our song. He was like, we're doing things a little different this year. This year we're having an Axel Christmas. And then our song came on.
So great.
It turned out to be easily our biggest hit, although that's a low bar to clear. But yeah, that song kind of took on a life of its own for a year or so there. Like we were in the Boston area, and it made the rounds of Boston radio. People were hearing it on different rock stations were playing it just in their regular rotation, not just on weird comedy shows. The Dr. Demento show obviously played it, still plays it occasionally. Once in a while, he'll still break it out for a Christmas show. It was on a compilation album that Dr. Demento put out a few years back.
Oh.
So, yeah, so that record really had a life beyond most of everything else that Sponge Awareness
that
Foundation
feeling
did.
of, like,
Yeah.
This was the thing. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
so
It's like
lives
you
on.
see occasionally on Twitter, like, really, this is what I'm going to go viral with? This is what I'm going to be remembered for?
Yeah, but why not? And the song is out there. If people want to hear it, it's around. If you Google Axel Christmas, people have loaded it onto YouTube, unbeknownst to us. It's out there.
In fact, I discovered so for years I worked at in the print industry, which of course now no longer exists. I think I worked at a local newspaper, and I ended up because I loved funny Christmas music, and I wrote a feature article one year for about funny Christmas music, and it was and I because I was a glutton for punishment. Apparently, I said, you know what? I will also make a mixtape of all the songs that I talk about in this feature article. I gave it out to all my coworkers, and then throughout the year, they're like, "Hey, you got another one of those Christmas CDs? Hey, I didn't get one, or I lost mine, or my cousin wants one," and it got way huge. So every year, for the entirety of the print industry's existence, I made one. And so I tried to, top myself every year. And it turns out there was no shortage of Christmas songs to put on these things. And after 2 or 3 years of doing it, I discovered an Axel Christmas, put it on there, quite popular, and I put it on there several years in a row. And cut to me and Gary are running the American Sci-Fi Classics Track. I get Kevin Eldridge as one of our panelists, and we're hanging out because we're normal humans, and we're talking about things. And we talked about somehow Christmas music came up, and I mentioned that song, and Kevin said, "Well, sir, that was me," and like Scanner.
Yeah, that was a weird moment.
Wait, you're that Kevin Eldridge?
Yeah. So that was a song that had a life probably way beyond what it ever deserved to have. But we're still fond of it. We did a reunion concert. We got invited to do a reunion show in Minnesota a few years ago, and it was March. This was a late winter spring show, but yeah, we broke out Axel Christmas. This is our hit. Got to do it for the people.
You got to do it for the people. You got to give them what they want, Kevin.
Yes.
And it brings so much joy when people hear those things that they've just really bonded with. Like it's cool.
Next up, Chris, what's your next one?
My next pick is Tommy Two-Tone, who gave us 8675309.
I know this one.
Re-recorded 8675309, except he sung the words to Santa Claus is Coming to Town over it, and he called it basically Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It's over the melody of 8675309. It is not meant to be a humorous single, but it is hilarious just because the absolute, this thing must have taken him about 5 minutes to come up with. It is so much fun to do at karaoke because they think you're going to do 8675309 and suddenly you're singing about Santa Claus. So yeah, well done, Tommy Two-Tone, if you're out there watching.
I hope so. Gosh, if Tommy Two-Tone is watching, that's the dream. That's the dream. No, I'm a big fan of that one. Next up, Gary Mitchell.
Well, my next pick is, since we've already mentioned Bob and Doug Mckenzie's Christmas song, which is a classic, I'm going to go with another 80s tune, a legend of the 80s, Mr. Max Headroom's Merry Christmas, Santa Claus, You're a Lovely Guy.
I never heard that.
I don't know this one.
Yeah, it's Max Headroom, the lovely Matt Frewer, doing his Max Headroom bit at the height of his popularity, singing basically a lounge song about Santa, and it's just a trip. It is very 80s, and like, well, it's hard to get more 80s than Max Headroom.
That is true.
And it's a fun, wild little song. If you haven't heard it, this is your opportunity now to watch it on the playlist.
Yeah, heck yeah.
It even has a boys' choir.
Man, I was hoping that, I wondered how fast someone would stump me. And Gary, you did it. I'd never heard of this.
Me either.
I disappeared because I just ordered this about
What?
ago.
Oh, wow.
So you can get it very cheap on eBay because Gary, this special is one of my favorite holiday specials, and I love this song. So well done, man.
Amazing.
There's a reason I am here.
That's correct. we don't gather the nerds that don't know their stuff on this.
My hat is off to you, good sir.
Only the finest.
Only the
artisanal nerds.
Yes,
Only the best of the nerds. Mwah.
The artisanal nerds with the deepest cuts.
That's right. So
only the
up next,
dankest for you.
up next, Kevin.
Oh, okay, me again.
The Sponge Awareness Foundation, right? You're going to hit us with a lyric,
yes,
right?
Yeah, can we talk about my song a little more? You know what? Actually, I want to recommend a goofy song and video from a friend of mine because she's hilarious. I think I got a picture of her. There she is. Did that work? Come on. There she is. That's Nikki Luparelli, who's a Massachusetts-based singer and comedian. She's hysterical, and she has a song, and I'm not going to say the full name of the song because it's a bit on the naughty side, but the song is called Why Don't You Go F Yourself This Christmas. And
I love her French cover of Toxic by Britney Spears.
She's amazing.
What?
She's hilarious, and I mean she's a for real great singer, powerhouse vocalist. But this is just a boozy, crazy kind of lounge sort of a song. Really, really funny. It's got a great video. She's the best. She's awesome. Nikki Luparelli.
That's great. Can't wait to hear that. Gina.
Actually, that made me think of thinking of boozy, and also on the vein of excellent versions of 12 Days of Christmas. Faye McKay,
Yes.
it was a comic in the 70s, 60s and 70s. Did a song called 12 Days D-A-Z-E of Christmas, I believe, and it's 12 drinks. It's 12 alcoholic drinks, but as she recites them, she's getting sloppier and sloppier drunk as she goes along, and it is just gorgeous. It's in front of a live audience, so there's just all this, the energy just crackles in the recording, and it's just a wonderful song.
That is one of those, like, morning radio. I first heard that, and then on Dr. Demento, and they only, when I first heard it back then, nobody said Faye McKay. And it wasn't until the magic of the interweb that I discovered who that was, or what her name was, rather. And it's cool that both our names rhyme, but we're not best friends yet. I think she's passed away, so I guess that should But no, that song is absolutely, and I loved it even when I was 12 and had no idea what those drinks were.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an alcoholic time capsule.
Yeah. Now I know what about 5 of those drinks. So, all right, I got that one. And next up, Metricula.
Okay, so can I do like tiny swears?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, we've already had the A-bomb, so.
That's it.
Sure.
All right, so I'm a choral bitch from like high school, college, and I think, God, what's his name? Peter Schenkel. He publishes music under the name PDQ Bach.
Oh yeah.
Right. Love it. But he has a trio of Christmas carols, a consortium of Christmas carols, I think is the name of the movements of it, but it's they're amazing. There's like a parody of "Throw the Yule Log on, Uncle John." It's not "Throw the Yule Log on, Uncle John." It's like "Throw the Yule Log on Uncle John" because he's fucking drunk. And then there's "Oh Little Town of Hackensack," and it's just like a diss track on Hackensack. But my favorite one is it starts with the first few notes of "Good King Wenceslas." But it's "Good King Kong," and it's like, "Good King Kong looked out on his feet and he saw that they were large. Ho ho!" He said, I still remember it, but it's like, and it's like it's King Kong like, looking at his body and being like, "I rule." Like, oh, it's so funny. But the arrangements are actually really funny too because they're still in the style of like a carol madrigal choir, like a very madrigal descendant 4-part harmony, with like all the fa la las and whatnot, and excellent, just real like goofy and real funny. But what I like about them is like a lot of times people like PDQ box stuff, like people sneak it into like actual choral performances. So like the best part is like watching audiences think it's going to a place. And it does not go that place. It jumps in Santa's sleigh and just zoomies over somewhere else. And I love that feeling. Like that's the fun. To me, that's the most fun of like being a performer and doing parodies. When you do parodies and they start off similar enough that people think like, oh yeah. But then it goes to that other place, and watching people understand, and it's like it's fun because it's like you feel like you've really like connected, because people had to be like, hang on, wait, what? It's like when you see a cat and you go pss, 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 and the cat's like it's like, okay, we're connecting here. Yeah, someone in the chat, Sherman's like, subversion of expectations, and it's like excellent. So that's my next pick is Consortium of Christmas Carols.
Nice.
Yes, and I do see that Deanna is here, so we must pose that question to her that we had about Canadians, that they were all pretty decent.
Yeah.
So we demand an answer, Deanna.
Deanna, in the chat, we are asking you, in our opinion, all Canadians are cool and good. Is that correct? So next up, while Deanna is pondering that subject, I want to mention an entire album. It's by a comedy duo called they're Travis and Jonathan, but their characters are Red State Update, and it's two big old rednecks who are very left-leaning politically, which is hilarious in itself. And the songs on this album, which is are terrific. The name of the album is Santa is Real, and it is a parody of a 70s Christian album called Satan is Real. And
that's funny.
That is a deep cut, and the whole album is it ranges from G to PG to hard R, and one of the songs is Christmas on an Island with a Martian and a Gorilla, which is just silly and nonsensical, and it's great. And it ends, and of course there's I don't feel like bleeping this Christmas, which is, I'm gonna say it's beyond hard R, but it is something you cannot let children listen to. Well, you could. In fact, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. It's great.
If they get the jokes, it's your fault.
That's right.
Right.
But
by the way, Joe, Christmas on an Island with a Martian and a Gorilla, you just described my dream Christmas.
Thank you. There's a video where, sure enough, it's very easy. It's just the two guys, and they got a guy in a gorilla suit and a guy in an alien suit, and they just cavort on a beach. It is
Cavorting is
That sounds
Yes,
like one of the
there's
three
some
speeches
cavorting.
1960.
But the whole album, start to finish, is great. And there's like it's like there's skits in between, and it ends with an extended riff on Led Zeppelin called "In Santa's Time of Dying," and it's like this 8-minute breakdown with guitar, and it's just a thing of beauty. Red State Update. And so I'm going to put that on there, and then I will pass it on to Chris.
My next pick is a song from the Go-Go's, but it's not the Go-Go's that we all know. It is a British band called the Go-Go's who released a single in 1964 on Oriole Records called "I'm Gonna Spend My Christmas with a Dalek." And this song has just this really, really annoying little girl singing like "I'm gonna spend my Christmas with a Dalek" in like a Shirley Temple type voice. But what makes this song so hilarious is in the background you have Daleks in full-on Dalek screaming voice saying "Merry Christmas" and things like that. Which
you will celebrate.
Celebrate!
It's fantastic, and it makes me laugh every year because it's one of those things that, like, the little girl who's singing, who I think may be the little girl from the Peter Cushing Doctor Who movies.
Nice.
But she's singing, and it's so bad. But then the Daleks come in, and you forget about how bad it is, and then they go away, and then it's terrible again, and then the Daleks come back, and it's amazing. And I really, really highly recommend that song. I'm going to spend my Christmas with a Dalek.
That's great. Gary.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of tee off and stick with our British friends because this is a song I wanted to bring up. It's not obscure in any way, but I remember hearing it as a kid for the first time and realizing that you could do something weird with Christmas, that you could go in a different direction than the standard, silver bells and fa la la. And that's the Kinks' Father Christmas, Give Me the Money.
Love that
song.
Yeah. I remember hearing it for the first time. You're like, yeah, okay, because I'm like 8 years old, and you're like, oh yeah, Christmas song, and like, wait, what? He got mugged, and then Father Christmas, give us the money. We don't want toys. I'm like, wait, what?
It's a working class uprising Christmas song.
Yeah.
I did not hear that song until when I was doing that feature article, which was 15 years ago. So when it came out, never heard it for some reason. But every year, solid gold.
Yeah. And it's right in that perfect 70s British punk, Sex Pistols, we're going to start a riot time frame.
Yeah.
And so it just speaks to that. So yeah, it's another one that I'm like, I pull it out and it's like, yeah. Silver bells, overthrow and eat the rich. Silver bells. Oh, we lost Kevin.
Me? I'm here.
No, we got
Kevin.
Oh no, who we lose?
lost
We lost
somebody.
Chris.
Who did we? He's going to feel great about that. We're going to have
Deanna.
We didn't know.
Deanna took him out to prove that Canadians are evil.
When
Mommy
Chris comes
liked.
back, we're going to tell him we didn't know it was you that left.
Yes.
That's funny.
So, Kevin, you're up next.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I'm going to throw in a quick honorable mention because this was not even something on my list. But Gary, I recommend look up Letters to Cleo.
Yeah, I love them.
They're the best. Just an awesome alt rock band out of Boston from the '90s. They still get together sometimes. And last year they put out a Christmas EP and they covered Father Christmas on that record.
What?
Yeah.
I will hunt that down.
Yep.
Joe, put that in the
man.
YouTube.
It's so great.
And actually, they have a Christmas song also, and I seem to be on a theme now because this also connects to the song that I was about to mention just now. But there is a Letters to Cleo Christmas song, which also contains a word that I would not say on the show, but it's called Letters to Cleo, the Christmas song, WTFAMP, which is, of course, where the F are my presents. The song that I wanted to throw out right now, though, is another friend of mine who put out. This is a new song. Just came out. I just saw it for the first time yesterday. But this is my friend Whitney. If I can pull this up right now, there she is. Whitney Avalon. People might know from the internet, from YouTube.
Yeah.
She has very popular princess rap battle videos online, but I know her from a million years ago. She's a Dr. Demento Weird Al nerd like the rest of us, and she's great. She does very funny songs and videos, and Whitney just released her new song. Is called WTF 2020, Funny Christmas Song for an Awful Year.
Mm.
Could you tell me her name again?
Whitney Avalon.
Nice.
She's great.
She's so cool. Yeah. I met her 20 years ago at a Weird Al convention.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I'm very
next
jelly. I love, like, as a woman or non-male, comedy musician. It's like it really can't, like, stand up can be such a boys' club, and it is always really exciting to, like, have other, like, women or non-binary or non-male musicians to, like, look up to, like.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
it really makes a differse. Like, I know I don't want to be cheesy, but, like, representation matters.
Well, no, you're totally right. And people like
Yeah.
you and the work that you do, and people like
Oh
Whitney
my God.
Avalon and Nikki
Oh.
Lucarelli, and there's some fantastic women out there.
And then, like, my thing, to just a brief aside, it's like, it's not just female artists, but, like, I'm an aspiring producer, and, like, I hate that, like, one of the big forums is Gear Sluts with a Z, and it's like, this is why women think you're all shitty bros.
Yeah.
Well,
you are.
yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's an awesome recommendation.
Awesome. Next up, Gina.
All right. So in similar to Joe's vein, I want to recommend an album, and kind of go in deep cuts here because this album, not streaming anywhere, super duper out of print. It was 1995, called "Blame It on Christmas," and basically a group of studio musicians, as far as I can piece together, they decided to make an album that was sort of like offbeat Christmas songs from around the world. And they have artist names and everything else, all completely made up and fictionalized. There's a song, for example, there's a song called "Oh White Christmas," which alleges to be from like 1848. And is and basically the chorus is the song "White Christmas," but the verses are like Christmas specific sort of Irish lyrics.
Oh.
And it's a lot of stuff like that. There's some great instrumentals. There's El Poquito Pueblo de Bethlehem, which is like sort of a salsa quick salsa sort of rendition of a little town of Bethlehem. There's In Excelsis Polka, which
Nice.
is also
Oh,
great.
that sounds like it
It is
effing
wonderful.
slaps.
One of my favorites is called "We Three Bings" by the Three Bings. Basically, the whole conceit of the song is that, did you ever notice how much Bing Crosby and Jim Morrison actually sound alike?
Mm.
And the song basically, it's basically a takeoff on "People Are Strange."
Ooh.
But also it has like sort of Bing-centric lyrics to it too. It is so delightful. Luckily, because it's not well known and not highly demanded, you can get it pretty cheap on Amazon. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the link into the chat right now.
Coolness.
Yeah, this is one of the things I used to back. I was telling Joe earlier, back when Groove Shark was a thing.
Oh God.
This is one of the things that I used to I used to put up there because it was so great, and I was hoping that somebody would pick it up for streaming.
Like the Wild West, like Chris was saying before we went on the air. It's like the glory days of illegal downloading.
Oh yeah.
We didn't know that it was illegal.
Huzzah!
Exactly.
That's how I got like a fan subbed episodes of Inuyasha every week. in high
Exactly.
school. Like,
So-
betraying my age. I mean, I'm 35, but I'm young enough to be
Understood.
an Inuyasha bitch.
So, over to you, Metricula.
Okay, all right. So my next one, there's a band called the Levies, and they have a song called "How Do You Spell Hanukkah?" And it's like, is it with a C or H? I am confused. Or it's like, and what about the N's and K's? Do you use one or two? Or I remember when I was in an elementary school and a Spanish kid told me it started with a J, and I'm so confused. How do you spell it? I am Jewish. I do not know. And it's just a really cute song about all the different ways to transliterate Hanukkah, but it does it in such a celebratory way. And then it like ties it into like a spelling bee where it's like kids have to like spell like oligarchy and solipsism and bouillabaisse and yeah, it's just really, really cute. And it has like kind of it's like a slow hip hoppy rhythm. It's just really fun about like all the myriad ways that, you know, we transliterate languages that aren't you know, Roman characters to try and make it make sense. So it's like, how many H's? How many N's? How many K's? Like, I don't know, like, just roll the dice.
Give me the
But
name of
that's
that
the
artist again.
Levies, L-E-E, it's capital L-E-E, capital V-E-E-S,
Yeah.
all one word. How do you spell Hanukkah? And the title of the song uses CH with two N's and two K's and two H's.
Nice.
to drive it home. Oh,
Look,
but it's a delight.
This is where we are, and we're only 45 minutes in. So,
Oh, yeah, it's good stuff.
so Chris, up next.
To kind of piggyback on what Metricula was saying a few minutes ago, and that's about how much representation matters. As a gay man, I don't really hear many Christmas songs that are, you know, written specifically for the gay experience. One notable exception is by the group Pansy Division, and it's called Homo Christmas. And now, it is on Spotify, but I can't really say the lyrics because this thing is like graphic. I will just say that it rhymes something with socks, and you can
act
see
it out
where
with your hands.
it's going there. It's
Worse?
It's a little worse.
That's
So, yeah.
that's for our
As soon as I said
OnlyFans
it,
that
I
we'll be
was like,
doing later on.
Oh no!
Yeah. So
As an enthusiast of anatomy, you know.
it's hilarious, but you may want to put a disclaimer on that specific song. But it's just a joyous celebration of being gay at the holidays, which is something you don't really hear too much about. And it's super hilarious as much as it is vulgar.
Sure.
So,
It reminds me, there is
Well, you're right though. It's a unique experience because it's like, you know, it can change a lot of your perspective.
For anyone
Gina?
that there is a playlist on Spotify called Homo for the Holidays.
Mhm.
And it has a lot of different gay themed Christmas stuff on it.
Cool.
Nice.
So my next one is it's from a Canadian band, a Canadian comedy band called the Arrogant Worms.
Oh yeah,
They're pretty much the Canadian comedy band, aren't they?
I think they are. And my friend Deanna very kindly several years
The
ago.
Canadian one.
Yes.
She still hasn't answered, by the way.
Yeah, she's still working on. But they did a whole album called Christmas Turkey, and it's just silly Christmas songs. My favorite one is "Oh God, I'm Santa Claus," and it's from the perspective of a guy. He wakes up and realizes, "Oh God, he's Santa Claus," and the elves are telling him what he has to do, and while the elves are going la 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 la, he's going ah. And yeah, and the punchline to the song is he says, "Ah, it was just a dream," and he wakes up and he's the Easter Bunny. Solid gold.
There's a swerve.
Yes, everything by the Arrogant Worms is great. They did. I think maybe might be their most famous song was "Carrot Juice is Murder."
Yep.
But everything by them is 5 stars. But yeah, check that album out. Next up, Gary.
Well, Chris reminded me of one of my absolute favorite songs by a friend of Dragon Con, the legend known as Voltaire, the effervescent goth gift to humanity, did a song called "Coming Out for Christmas," which is hilarious. Mainly, you hear it as a live version. And it's just, guy goes to Christmas and comes out at the table. And it is just one of the funniest songs. It's got some of it very clever lyrics. Like, take back those G.I. Joes. I never liked those toys. I never did like the stuff that was for boys. Bring me some Barbies, although you think it's wrong. Or better yet, Johnny Depp in a thong.
Nice.
Now, as for me, well, I'm off to a disco, and you can kiss my gay ass as I go. It is an absolute treat of a song.
I love it. Kevin, up next.
All right, I'm going to go super obscure now. This is one that I don't know if this is music that can be found much of anywhere these days, hopefully, but this was an album that came out 15 years ago maybe, and I just tried doing a search for it, and the first link that came up was from MySpace. So
that's still around.
I don't know that this record
it
has
exists.
Yeah,
in a strange sort of half-life.
Sort of, but this was a bizarre record that came out, released by a guy named Steve Foster, who was a musician in the Boston area back then. And just as a side project, he was in a rock band as well. But he said, what if I just made my own Christmas album all about chickens? And he put out this record called "What More Can There Be Than Steve Foster and His Christmas Chickens." It's a full album of chicken Christmas songs. We went to the album release concert in Boston that year, which was a magical event. There are songs on this record like Frosty the Chicken. It's beginning to look a lot like a chicken.
Commit to the bit.
And, perhaps I think my favorite might have been "Ovens We Have Set on High."
I gotta hear this.
Oh, that's funny.
Great. I mean, I have it, so I can hook you guys up if you can't get these songs anywhere. I'll take care of you.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. Gina.
Okay, so the song I'm going to pick is nested inside a great holiday album. It's from Bare Naked Ladies from 2004 called Bare Naked for the Holidays. It is a wonderful album. It's mostly Christmas songs. Some are just sort of seasonal songs. It has a few Hanukkah songs in there as well. And there's stuff that's touching. There's stuff that's sort of gimmicky. And there's stuff that's laugh out loud funny. And my favorite in that vein is a song called Elf's Lament.
That's one of my picks. I love it.
With guest star Michael Bublé.
Oh,
it's all about the elves organizing their labor and taking on the fat man and taking it to him and saying, "This is what we want." And if you don't give us what we want, the kids are going to go without their toys. It's fantastic.
Awesome. Totally awesome. That's great. Metricula.
Elf's Lament. I'm so glad you brought that one in. I love it. So my next pick. This is actually one that's based on this is a friend's album. My friend Jonah Knight put out a couple Christmas albums, but his first Christmas EP is called Drunk on Christmas, and the album art is like wasted ass Santa Claus with like a Santa hat over his Santa junk. Actually, this is creepy. When I was in high school, our choir director always called like, oh, you got to make sure your skirts are long enough because you don't want to show Christmas, ladies.
What?
And I don't know, is that like a Southern thing to like call accidentally flashing your panties like showing Christmas? Like,
I've
now
never
that I
heard
guess
that
that-
in my life.
I'm guessing it's depending on how you've trimmed your tree, shall we say?
Oh, good
now
Lord.
that I said that out loud, I was like, that's actually really kind of creepy.
No
You know,
doubt.
we
they
can
are
get some
so-
little, piercings as little ornaments. I don't know.
I don't
Oh
know.
my
Yeah,
God.
we can go. There's a
No
lot
doubt
of layers
there- no
to
doubt
this,
there's
but
so
you know,
many
I was
lazy
14,
Christmas
and it was
somewhere.
it's always
Yeah.
awkward when an adult man references your panties when you
Wow.
are 14. Showing Christmas. Anyway, this is called Drunk on Christmas, but the track I want to feature is called Bacon and Beer,
Oh,
and it's about being tired of your family and just wanting to wake up, and you wake up Christmas morning and you're just real horny to like get started with some bacon and beer, and like the
Mhm.
chorus is just really like a good sing along, a good sing along. It's like New Year's Eve is for getting wasted, but like Christmas morning, it's like just got to get bacon and beer, horny for bacon and beer, and it's just kind of a nice sort of country vibe. But it's called Bacon and Beer by Jonah Knight, and that's Knight like, ooh, sword, swash, swash. I don't know why that's why I went there for Knights with a K, Knights, but Jonah Knight.
Nice.
And he actually also has karaoke versions of everything on that album as well. So ready for your car sing-alongs.
So up next, Chris.
I live in Philly, and in Philly there's this group of cartoonists. We're big cartoonist and comic creator town, and musicians. And every year for the past 8 or 9 years, they put together a kind of DIY lo-fi indie Christmas album under the moniker Super Friends. There's done a lot of volumes of these, and I've been obsessed with these lately. And one of the songs is you know in Silence of the Lambs when Buffalo Bill does the tuck, and the Q Lazarus song Goodbye Horses plays in the background. Well, this is a song by a band called Q Gasserus called Goodbye Reindeer, which, like the previously mentioned 8675309, just it gives the melody to Goodbye Horses Christmas lyrics. Goodbye Reindeer, Santa is abandoning the reindeer. Now, this song is really catchy and really funny, but the thing about it is it's one of, so far, 3 Christmas parodies of Goodbye Horses that I've discovered today. So this is like a whole
Yay.
bizarre musical subgenre that I don't know. Like, look, I think I have problems, but I'm not out there in the world creating song parodies to Q Lazarus songs. And so it's amazing. So Goodbye Reindeer by Q Gasserus, which I think is supposed to be pronounced Gasserus, but I'm not sure. But yeah, thumbs up for that one. And it's very funny, and it's going to confuse the hell out of people if you play it at Christmas time.
That's awesome. So going back to, I believe Kevin has mentioned this before, but animals and Christmas stuff is always, at first, when I first started doing like my wacky Christmas, everybody would say, why don't you put those puppies on there? Why don't you put, and I'd be like, no, I'm an elitist. And then I decided, no, they're hilarious. But one thing I discovered a few years ago, I think it came out maybe 2016, 2017. It's a group called Action Aid, and they do Christmas carols sung by goats. And it's just screaming goats the entire song, and they commit. It is 4 and 5 minute songs, and it's all goats screaming, and it is an entire album. And every year I put at least 2 on these things, and they're all top notch.
If nothing else we've learned from this this panel is you have to commit to the bit.
You have to.
Always.
So up next, Gary.
All right, so I have to do this one, otherwise I'll get kicked out of the cult. It's from the HPL Historical Society. I'm recommending a whole album. A scary little a scary solstice, a very scary solstice. It is H.P. Lovecraft themed Christmas carols.
Wow.
Carol of the Old Ones is great. Scary, scary, scary Christmas. Scary, scary, scary Christmas. Although my favorite is It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Fishmen Everywhere I Go.
So great.
It's going in his mouth and running into. Hey, there we go. But tracks like Do You Fear What I Fear? I'm Dreaming of a Dead City. It's the most horrible time of the year. You can pick it up from the HP Lovecraft Historical Society as a CD or MP3s of your choice.
So great. Just the fact that everyone commits to this. They're like, look, we're going to do a whole album. But Kevin.
Yeah, not just one particular song, but I wanted to kind of throw out a blanket recommendation for if you're just looking for funny Christmas songs. So I'm going to pull up one of the works from my friends over at the Fump.
Of course.
Just pull up this image so people can see the Fump. There it is. The Fump, that stands for Funny Music Project, FUMP. So they're at thefump.com. But it's sort of a collective of comedy musicians, and they release original new comedy songs every week. Like 2 new songs come out from one of this group of artists, and these are people like the great Luke Ski, Devo Spice, Carrie Dalby, Worm Quartet, and many, many, many more. And as you can see, they
also have a lot of female artists.
Yes,
yeah, they do.
They promote, including me. But
yeah.
like occasionally. But yeah, I also appreciate that. So it's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And these are friends of mine. I go way back with these people, and they're terrific, and they're a bunch of geeks like us that grew up on this stuff, and then they committed to this project. Like, let's get together and have a system through which we can just release original comedy songs. So there's a podcast that goes along with it. You can get the songs for free as they come out, or you can get these compilations that they put out. They've done a couple of Christmas, at least 2 Christmas compilations so far. And this month there are more Fump Christmas songs coming out as we speak. I know we've talked about the great Luke Ski around here before. My old friend Luke, he's put out multiple versions of It's a Fanboy Christmas, which is sort of his ongoing series of geek-themed Christmas novelty parody songs. Just a ton of stuff just pours out of the Fump, and it's also become kind of a feeder system for the Dr. Demento show, because we all talk about how we listened to Dr. Demento when we were kids, which we all did. Great, but in case people don't know, he didn't go anywhere. Dr. Demento is still out there. He still does a new show every week, and you can hear it. And this time of year, he does for 3 weeks in a row every December. He does 3 entire shows of all holiday music. The first one came out this past weekend. There's 2 more, so that you can hear a 2-hour show of Dr. Demento curated funny holiday songs every week through the month of December. So if you check out, I think it's just drdemento.com, you can still get his show. He's not on regular radio anymore, but he's on the internet with the rest of us nerds.
Yeah, and that's 6 hours, and he's scratching the surface, barely.
Oh, yeah.
We got to get the Funk guys on. We have to do a sequel to this thing. We may not make it another year. We're going to have to come back to this.
Well, you can always do just general funny music, because we want the Fump.
Nice. If you had 1 hour before Gary did a "We Want the Funk" reference.
Yeah. Well, when people see me, they think Parliament.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's not funny. I do think that, Gary. And next up, Gina.
So this one is from the kind of the early 80s. It's actually a song from a soundtrack for a non-Christmas movie, soundtrack to Beat Street.
Whoa! What?
And it's a group called the Treacherous Three. And in the movie, they perform it live in front of an audience. It's called Santa's Rap. It definitely is not safe for work without some beeps. Luckily, I've had it both ways, so it's definitely can be found like that. So that's not a problem. It's basically some Santa rapping about how hard his job is, and then like some working class kids sort of giving him hell over how spectacularly he has failed to make their Christmases worthwhile. And it's pretty great. It's also a good portrait of sort of urban life in the early 80s in Reagan's America. And it's also just really funny and mildly profane and just all the things we love, basically.
Yeah. Metricula.
Okay. So going back to my childhood, I don't know how many of y'all watched it was a Will Venton claymation Christmas special with the two dinosaurs.
Yes. With and the California Raisins.
Yes, and the California Raisins, who do an amazing version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But what I want to feature on the soundtrack from that is when I was like 5, I thought it was like the funniest thing ever. How Herb, the blue the Triceratops, never got the word wassailing right. So like all of the interstitial segments, and these are on the soundtracks of like here it's like some geese would come like here we come a waffling, and like they're all eating waffles, and like I know that it's such a like low hanging joke, but it's like that's why it's so funny.
What could be more
like
Christmassy
and
than
like
a
the
big
geese
stack
are
of
like here
syrupy
we come a
waffles?
waddling, and it's like it's still funny.
So much fun.
You know, like sometimes it's the obvious humor that's like it has that spark of just like whole hog silly like joy.
There's lots of bits of the songs in that special that work mostly only with the animation. Like the version of We Three Kings is fine, but but it's designed to go with the animation for that.
Yeah.
one.
Oh yeah.
But
The We Three Kings is
the
good.
waddle thing. I love that it stands alone as a great song.
Yeah, and it's not just like it doesn't rely on the visual jokes or the animation, to because it is like it's more about the wordplay. Because like there's other stuff in that, and that whole special is amazing still. Because it's like one, I love Will Venton animation, but like two, there's that one scene of the walruses that ice skate. And I don't know why they always look like hamburgers to me. I don't know what that says about what's going on up here, but it's like, man,
a lot of stuff.
The munchies, you know.
Up next, Chris.
I'm gonna
bring us home.
I'm gonna take us back to Canada for the next one. And shortly after the Kids in the Hall broke up, Bruce McCulloch put out a comedy album called Shame-Based Man, and it's a bunch of like music and comedy bits and everything. And so my next thing isn't exactly a song, but it's a comedy bit that fits perfectly on Christmas playlists. It's a bit called Baby Jesus, where McCulloch plays the role of a man at a radio station and a caller to the radio station. And the caller just called up to tell him how he loves baby Jesus. So it's about 2 minutes of him saying, I have a special friend. He's the baby Jesus. He don't give me no shit. He don't F around. And he just goes into all these random reasons why he loves baby Jesus. And then the big punchline is, I've only been into him for a couple of hours though, but I'm really into him. And I'm not doing it justice, but it put it on a holiday playlist between songs, and it's just a nice palate cleanser and just a very kind of thing. It's very strange and funny, as all things Bruce McCulloch tend to be.
Yeah. Again, narrowing it down to like one of 3,000 things for my next one. This one, there was another one that made the rounds when I was in the early 80s, and this was it was Blue Christmas, sung by Porky Pig.
Oh yeah,
and
Blue Christmas,
like that. And but it's a totally unofficial version, and it's by a stand-up comic who does a flawless Porky Pig impression. and his name lost to history. Maybe it's findable now. Who knows? But that clip, I think it was on Dr. Demento, and it was on local radio. And it was another one of those. Y'all mentioned one of these earlier, taped live with a morning radio show. So the audience and the people in the studio cracking up as he goes that makes it. It makes the whole production. But it's just a guy doing Porky Pig singing Blue Christmas, and it's great. I think on the web they've called it Seymour Swine, since it's not technically Porky Pig,
so they don't get sued,
or officially Porky Pig. But years ago at a comedy club, I call it it's the comedy club. It's the only one in my town of Birmingham, Alabama. But I walked into a guy doing stand-up, and it was that guy. And he did the Porky Pig impression. And then he was gone into the night, and I couldn't find him. And I was like, did I imagine that? So he just went off in his sleigh, apparently, and I never more have I found this person. But he's out there somewhere. He does a Porky Pig impression, and he sings Blue Christmas. And that's it. That must not be his entire career. I'm sure he does other things, but alls I know of him, whoever this guy is, and if you're listening, you and Tommy Two-Tone, hopefully together, please let us know.
I would love to hear Porky Pig sing 8675309.
Surely we can make that happen. So, Gary.
Are we doing another round? We're about at an hour, Joe.
Let's do it in one more round.
All right, one more round. We'll bring it home.
Closing round.
All right. So I know this is a song a lot of people know, but I like a cover version of it better. It is Merry Christmas from the Family, a Robert Earl Keen song, but I love Jill Sobule's cover of it, probably because I heard it first before I heard his version. And there's just something about this sweet voiced lady singing about mom got drunk and dad got drunk at the Christmas party. And it's basically, it's a redneck country Christmas, but it's kind of touching. And it's just, again, it's one of those first songs when the season rolls around that I will dig up on YouTube where there's a really bad copy of it and listen to it. And just, it reminds me of growing up in the trailer park.
Yeah. Kevin.
All right, for my final round, I thought of a whole weird album because there are some strange holiday albums out there. One that, just a quick honorable mention, Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo.
Whoa.
He put out a holiday record, and it's weird. I recommend looking that one up. But here's an even weirder one from just a couple of years ago, and this is let me bring it up. Another mainstay of the Dr. Demento show is Barnes and Barnes, who people know from Fish Heads, of course. Mm-hmm. And half of Barnes and Barnes, of course, is Billy Mooney from Lost in Space. And Barnes and Barnes put out Holidays in Lumania, their holiday record, in 2018. Like all these years later, these guys still occasionally get back together and make new Barnes and Barnes records. And needless to say, because it's Barnes and Barnes, it's just bizarre. There's some crazy weird stuff on it. There's a song called Santa's Gone on Strike. There's one called Jesus is Groovy. There's actually Bill Mooney working with a woman singer that he had worked with sometimes years ago. He put out a record called I've Got Some Presents for Santa. And it's just sort of a naughty, like Marilyn Monroe kind of, vocal almost. They do that on the Barnes and Barnes record also. Just crazy stuff. So I was just delighted when this record came out, just that Barnes and Barnes, at this point.
In 2018.
2018.
Also, in the 80s, they did I Had Sex with Santa.
Yes.
Which is distressing. And
yes.
More distressing is they had like a whole series, and this will particularly interest Chris. Maybe you know it already. Barnes and Barnes did a song called I Had Sex with E.T.
I did not know this.
Oh,
Full circle.
yes.
Full circle.
I mean, yeah, Fish Heads is essentially the least weird song they made. Like,
Fish Heads.
Oh
is
yeah, absolutely.
white
you go
bread compared
deeper into the Barnes and
Oh,
Barnes
yeah, you
catalog
look at, like,
beyond
Pussy
Fish
Whip and
Heads.
Cemetery Girls.
Yes, it just gets more disturbing from there. So happy holidays, everybody. Holidays in Lumania.
Yeah.
Roly poly fish.
And Gina.
Well, before I get to my last song, I wanted to mention just a full on. If you're looking for just like a good holiday album to just have on it, whatever your holiday festivities are, I gotta say the soundtrack to Elf is pretty fantastic. It just has a great cross section of older and newer stuff. Got some great stuff from Leon Redbone. Just a wonderful, wonderful compilation. And it's even got some non-Christmas songs that are great too. Yeah, I would recommend that to just pretty much anybody, just as a general all-purpose one. But for my last funny song, I got to go with this was from his original series of albums called it's called Thing a Week. And he was doing it,
Yes.
and Jonathan Colton was writing and producing and recording a song once a week for an entire year, and he put them on 4 different albums, each with 13 songs, and one of those is Chiron Beta Prime. It's an amazing science fiction Christmas song. It is wonderful and hilarious. A choir I was in just a few years ago, we did it at a couple shows, and people really love it. And it's just a great song. It's festive and yet fraught with dread, which what more could you want from the holiday season?
Isn't that what it is?
Mhm.
It's cold, and I hate that.
It's a family kidnapped by robots, and that's the song.
So many of his songs they're funny and cool and weird, and they're all just so sad.
Thank you.
Including this one. I love it.
Let's see. Metricula.
All right. For my last pick, I couldn't decide. Okay, so I was going to go. There's a holiday episode of Mobile Suit Gundam Wing called Snow Planet that has a wintry song that effing slaps. But I think for my last pick, I'm going to finally go with a dirty one. This is, I know just what you want for Christmas, but I don't know how to rap it. It's by Kay Martin and her Bodyguards. It's from the 60s. And it's about this woman sings it. And it's like, I know just what you want for Christmas, but it's something you've always wanted, and you asked me for it all year, and it's shaped so weird, and I don't know how to wrap it, and it wiggles, and it's all this stuff, and it's it sounds extremely anatomical, but at the end, it's a puppy. Oh, so it's such a good it commits to the bit, but it's it's not tongue-in-cheek because it's too explicit without actually being explicit. It walks that line so well because it's there's no wink and a nod. It's no, we mean this to sound like a female anatomy situation. I'm trying to be delicate. I swear a lot normally. And say the most vulgar things, but it's there's no sly wink and a nod wordplay. It's I know just what you want for Christmas, but I can't send it through the mail because of postal regulations. You might have to throw my bail. I'll be in so much trouble, so I got to try and cram it, and it's all this stuff, but it's a little puppy at the end, which I just love that it's at the very, very last line, it's the aristocrats. It just has such a it's such a delight, and especially from being from that era, it's such a good example of people have always been really raunchy. We just don't always have records of it.
There's a whole subgenre of comedy songs where it sounds like they're talking about one very naughty thing, and then there's the reveal at the end. There are a lot of male anatomy songs
pointless.
like that.
The reveal, it's not about the reveal. That's not the I just love it. It's just it's cute. So
the shaving cream.
Shaving cream.
Oh yeah.
It's
Be
the same
nice
one
and
you
clean.
played with on Saturday night, but I don't know how to rap it. It's just it's so clearly a sex song, but it's like, I guess, like a wink, like, see, censor. I don't know. It's
Awesome.
yeah, I just love it.
So, Chris.
My final pick comes to us from 2010. The B-52's Fred Schneider did a side project called the Superions, and they had songs like "Who Threw That Ham at Me?" So it was like, it's just like, imagine the most ridiculous B-52 song, but multiply it by infinity, and these are what the Superion songs are like. They're fantastic. But they put out a Christmas album, 11 brand new Christmas songs, including one called Santa's Disco, which there's a video for, which is amazing. And my pick, a song called Crummy Christmas Tree, which is just about like exactly what you think it is. And, Fred Schneider voices the Christmas tree who just wants to be loved, but it's just a terrible, terrible piece of crap that no one wants in its house. So it's got this real like melancholy feel to it. When I was a kid, the Carolers put out a bunch of like Christmas albums that you would buy at like Woolworths and JCPenney's, and there was a song on there called "The Christmas Tree That Ran Away" that was just this like heartbreaking song. And Crummy Christmas Tree is kind of like in the vein of that song, except it's hilariously well done. And there's also a video for that. So the Superions Crummy Christmas Tree, if you want to have yourself a weird little Christmas.
There's so many that we may end up having to do before next Christmas another episode just to cover all the ones. Like this is
Christmas in July.
Yeah, in fact, let's do it. We're penciling it in. We're totally doing it. This is where we are right now, after an hour and 20 minutes, and then there's some on the other side too, but we've barely scratched the surface. And one subgenre of funny Christmas music is celebrities doing Christmas stuff, and this came out just a couple of years ago, and on its face you might think, well, this couldn't possibly be good, and yet it's Little John with Kool-Aid Man doing What I Really Want for Christmas. And in the video, sure enough, Kool-Aid Man comes in, and then him and Little John go ziplining. It's amazing.
Wow.
But it's Little John and Kool-Aid Man, and it is the bangingest rap hip-hop thing that I've heard in years. And it's top-notch. But, of course, we haven't mentioned Christmas at Ground Zero by Weird Al.
Of course.
Which
people don't realize that's to the same tune as I Used to Go Nuts for Christmas, if you listen to it.
Oh yeah, I Used to Go Nuts at Christmas. That's a classic Dr. Demento thing. There's a bazillion. Of course, Run DMC did 2 Christmas songs.
Oh yeah.
They're both great. And Curtis Blow did a song called Christmas Rapping on his first album. He came out the gate singing about Christmas. And there's tons of other things that we haven't touched on, but we're going to wrap it up for now. And this ought to get you. This ought to get you through Christmas, hopefully, because there's so much good stuff that we have talked about, so much good stuff we haven't yet talked about, and we're totally going to do another one of these. Thank all of you guys for coming and hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Thank everybody for watching on YouTube and on the Facebooks. And
Deanna still hasn't answered us.
Come on, Deanna. But we let's go around and everybody tell us where you can be found on the interwebs. Gary.
You can find me here on the Twitter, or you can find me here doing this with him.
Yeah, you're here. You found us.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes with him.
Yeah.
Not enough with her. Not enough with him.
Not enough with any
definitely not enough with Gina. I can't get my anger. All these people, I love you all.
I'm so used to FaceTime which mirrors you when you look at the screen, and this does not.
Yeah, just don't leave me alone with this guy. That's all I'm saying.
No, do not. Kevin.
Yeah, find me at my podcast, which is the Flopcast. There's the address. We're at flopcast.net. The next show coming out just a couple of days from now. We will be counting down our favorite Christmas cartoon special characters. And later this week, I'm going to be the first ever guest on our sister podcast, which is called But First, Let's Talk Nerdy. I'm going to be joining the hosts of that very crazy, goofy show, and I will be discussing my all-time favorite Christmas special.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so I'm going to drive to your house,
Zoomy
I'm
boys.
going to stand out in your yard until y'all let me in, and then I'm going to guest star on that podcast as well.
Come on over.
Oh, my gosh. It's only, 12, 15 hours from
Something
where
like
I am?
that. Yeah, let's do it.
We're doing it. Gina.
Yeah, this here is my there it goes. There's my Twitter handle. And I mostly retweet people I'm much smarter than myself, which is very helpful when we're talking about the sort of political world we live in right now. And so that's kind of my main thing these particular days.
And
Metricula.
Hey, like I said, I am Metricula. You can find me at Metricula. That's Metricula. At Instagram, Twitter, I use really heavily. Facebook, and every Wednesday at 6 p.m., I do a 666 show. I do 6 songs at 6 p.m. from 6 different categories, and I have a friend feature. So some of my nerd music friends come on and do a song, just one song in our 6-song set. So next week at 6, I've got Animal Weapon coming up with some nerd electronica, and then I do a lot of acoustic music solo, as well as with my band, the Salacious Crumbles. So find me at metricula.com or salaciouscrumbles.com.
Terrific. Chris.
My name is Chris Cummins. I write for Den of Geek, and I also can be found on your social media of choice at Sci-Fi Explosion. I'm doing a lot of holiday-themed shows throughout the month. Tomorrow night, you can find every show 7:30 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Sci-Fi Explosion. Tomorrow is Sci-Fi Explosion on Ice, which is exactly what it sounds like. Next Friday, the 18th, is a 5-hour Sci-Fi Explosion holiday spectacular, which is going to be original content, classic holiday programs, music videos, everything going on. On December 19th, I'm doing an event called Music Video Book Club, in which myself and film critics and comedians analyze 12 of the most bizarre and hilarious holiday-themed music videos ever made. And finally, on December 24th, overnight into December 25th, on Twitch as well, I'm doing the Sci-Fi Explosion Billy Ocean Loverboy Yuletide Log, which you'll have to tune in to see what that is. So, a lot of Christmas fun and nonsense from Sci-Fi Explosion coming your way.
That's so great. We are also, Gary and myself and you guys and a bunch of other nerds, the best nerds, of course, are going to be doing more fun stuff.
Artisanal.
Yes.
Artisanal nerds. Yes, we're all.
I need an MP3 of you saying that.
Artisanal. I can do that. I'll do that after we wrap. I'll get that for the group.
Nice. But we're going to be doing more fun stuff for Christmas between now and then, and we'll see you back here probably before next Thursday. But if not, next Thursday for sure, we're doing more Christmas related stuff.
Next Thursday is a celebration of David Bowie.
Yes, we're kicking off the Christmas stuff. We're taking a small palate cleanser for Christmas, and of course, David Bowie did an famous Christmas song with Mr. Bing Crosby, who probably didn't know who he was when they were doing the thing. But that's good stuff. So we will see you next week for that, and we're doing more stuff in between now and then. But everybody, on behalf of all the nerds here and all the nerds, let's say everywhere, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, and everybody stay safe. We love you. We will see you very, very soon. And until next time, when Gary Mitchel will say,
"Oh, that's what he meant by jingle balls."